Hi, I'm Jeff Andre, an account executive with Arkieva. Thanks for joining us here on Arkieva Spotlight. Today we're back to talk with Arkiva's COO, Sujit Singh. Sujit's here to discuss his recent blog, Going Beyond Historical Data for Forecast Accuracy. Sujit, thanks for joining me.
Hey Jeff, great to be with you.
Fantastic. Sujit, when you talk about forecast value add, this isn't a new concept. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Oh, sure. Michael Gilliland came up with this concept. The idea is that at every step of forecasting, we should be adding value. And by that, he means improving the accuracy of the forecast. So if you're starting with very simple or naive methods, as he calls them, and if you implement a statistical forecasting package, well, that should create forecasts that are slightly better, if not a lot better, compared to the simple methods. Then on top of that, if you get input from salespeople or do some collaboration, well, that should add value. If you bring leading indicator forecast from external sources, maybe that should add value. So at every step, if you add value, then hopefully the end result is a lot better compared to where you started, which is the simple methods. And that's the general idea of this forecast value add.
What are some of the business benefits from an improved forecast?
Well, I mean, obviously, a lower inventory, higher customer service, happy customers at a very high level. Those are some of the good business outcomes from high forecast accuracy.
What about external factors or macro events? How can a business take advantage of these when it comes to forecasting?
Well, I mean, some businesses respond, or if not in a causal way, certainly in a correlated way, they are connected very tightly to external factors. So, if you have housing sales going up or housing starts going up, I should say, you're building more houses, a couple of months, maybe 2, 3 months behind, you will be seeing carpets being installed in those houses. So, uptick in housing starts can have an indication of how much carpet sales there would be in the marketplace. Well, that's an example of an external factor because housing starts are published by the government or by some agency. You can take that data. Because it's about 2 to 3 months in front of the carpet sale, we call it a leading indicator. And so the idea then becomes that you can use the housing starts data, which is externally available, to forecast carpet sales. So you can come up with various examples like this, depending on the industry you are in. The leading factor might be the GDP, or it could be oil prices, or whatever. And then as long as there are external data sources available that can give you this type of an input, you can then use that to improve the accuracy of your forecast.
Cool. Where do the boots on the ground or the human intelligence help add value to the forecast?
I think human intelligence can add value when the forecasting that they provide is more on the basis of certain input they got from the marketplace. Let me give you a couple of examples. If I have a customer who very steadily takes, 500 to 1,000 units every month of a particular product, my forecast is going to be somewhere in that range, whether I come up with a simple method or a statistical method, whatever that may be. But if I am the sales rep assigned to that customer, and I just had a chat with that customer and I learned that their plant is going to be down for a month, I know that they're not going to take any product the next month. Well, that information is not available in history. Statistics will never be able to guess that. But I, as the person with this input, can provide that into the collaborative process. And that's of great value because that will immediately improve the forecast accuracy of that month. So when it is based on these inputs, the collaboration adds a lot of value. It has also been found out in research that negative input typically adds more value than positive input, especially negative large inputs add a lot more forecast accuracy. Uh, where it doesn't add value is when people become statistical forecasting experts based on looking at a picture and start tinkering with the numbers. That leads to a lot of work, but does not always lead to an improved forecast accuracy. But whenever it's based on solid input from the marketplace, from the pulse of the marketplace, it adds a lot of value.
Great. Any final thoughts or techniques you might want to share when it comes to going beyond historical data for forecast accuracy?
Yeah, I like to summarize this idea of going beyond with the concept of going from efficient to effective. And I feel that forecasting being an empirical science, ultimately you want it to be effective. You want the forecast accuracy to be high, and not necessarily just worry about an efficient technique. When you talk about historical data and statistics, running statistics on that with today's packages that are available, commercial packages, it's a very efficient technique. You can be sleeping at night and it can do the whole thing for you and it comes back and gives you a number. But when you are trying to make it effective, you begin to think a little bit outside the box. External factors is one example. Collaboration is another example. You might bring in point of sale data from retailers. So these are all techniques that might take more effort to implement. They might not be able to be run overnight, so maybe not necessarily very efficient, but they can be very effective. And the name of the game in forecasting is to improve the accuracy and be effective.
Fantastic. Sujit, thanks so much for your time today. I certainly appreciate you discussing your most recent blog with us and sharing your insider supply chain views. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. We look forward to picking up the conversation the next time right here on Arkieva Spotlight. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.